You want to know the worst place to invest in all of the Dominican Republic for Airbnb? Well, it may surprise you, or maybe it won't. We will see. I'm going deep in this one, people, so let's dive in. So there's a website out there called AirDNA, and I pay for access to it so that I can take a look and analyze different markets and occupancy rates, and all of that good stuff. So I pulled it up for the Altagracia region or county or province or whatever the hell you call it. And here's what I got as a ranking for occupancy rate across 4 different submarkets within that province. Number 1 is Cortecito Beach, 49% occupancy. See why he invested there? Number 2 is Bávaro at 44% occupancy. Coming in third is Punta Cana at 41% occupancy. This is like Punta Cana Village Resort and going up into downtown, kind of the edge of downtown Punta Cana, if you could see that on a map. And last is an area called Bayaibe at 38% occupancy. I think Bayaibe has a big future, but right now it's lagging behind the rest. And that's all great. Anyone can look this up. All you got to do is pay for AirDNA. But I wanted to go deeper into this data, and I want to get a sense of the nightly rate, the occupancy rate, the purchase price, and the overall return on investment, or ROI, to use some fancy financial terms. So I had to sprinkle some gringo dust all over it and come up with some numbers and assumptions using a bunch of stuff and cramming it in, and I got it here on my laptop. So what did I come up with? I came up with a somewhat surprising best spot to invest and maybe a surprising worst spot to invest. Here's what I looked at. I broke down all of this information and tried to get at 3 different property types within these markets. Overall, the whole Punta Cana region, all of Altagracia province, which again incorporates all of those submarkets that I just mentioned. And here's what I looked at. I looked for 2-bedroom condos in Punta Cana, which includes the entire area from Cortecito in the north all the way down to Cap Cana in the south. And I used reviews to determine the overall occupancy across 3 different property types. Ready for the property types? They're pretty simple. Beachfront, near beach, which is a few minutes walking distance, say 5 to 10 minutes, and inland, or not close or walking distance to a beach. Then I looked at 3 pieces of data in order to generate the return on investment across beachfront, near beach, and inland, or downtown. The first is average nightly rate. The second was number of reviews. And the third was the purchase price. And to get all of this is very compiled data, me taking information and spending probably way too much time doing some analysis to come to a conclusion that's reasonable. And when I read some of these numbers, some of you are going to react, and that's okay. You can react. Drop it down in the comments. Some of you are going to feel like the nightly rate is too low or too high based on the type of property. Some of you are going to feel like the purchase price is too low or too high. And you might be right on certain properties here or there. But the idea here is to give you sort of directional accuracy around the best place to get the most return for your investment dollar when it comes to Airbnb in those 3 types of properties. So going through it all, here's what I came up with. Let's put it up on screen. For beachfront property, the nightly average rate is around $200. The average number of reviews on beachfront property is about 100 reviews. And the purchase price average from looking at current listings is right around $700,000. Now I'll admit that sounded high to me. And then I really started digging in and looking, and you can find stuff for way less that's beachfront. I shouldn't say way less, but less, that's beachfront, 550, that sort of thing. Again, 2-bedroom apartments, 2-bedroom condos. But you can also find them for 850, 900,000, depending on where you're looking. Again, this is right on the beach, on the, in the sand when you open the door. Toes in the sand, baby. That's beachfront. I even looked at a few that were 3-bedroom, but they were 975 or 1.1 million. So even that gave me a sense of 700 grand for a 2-bedroom. It actually kind of makes sense. For near beach, which is a 5 to 10 minute walk, the average nightly rate for the near beach properties is about $150 per night. The average number of reviews on these properties is about 80, and it's about a $260,000-ish purchase price. Now here again, I'm buying a 1-bedroom for $170,000. And right next door to a property called Maple Beach, their 2 bedrooms are going for $270,000. This is 1 block off the beach in Cortecito. Again, Cortecito has the highest occupancy rate in the area. It's the most desirable specific area for Airbnb, or it should be at least, or it is for me, and maybe it is for you. You do what you gotta do. But you can see where these prices are starting to kind of gel, at least in my mind. All right, and then thirdly, we've got inland or downtown property. This is for 2 bedrooms. It's a $100 average nightly rate. I've got about 50 reviews on average for these properties with an average purchase price of $202,000. Here again, I know of 2 bedrooms in downtown and all of that are way less. You can get them for way less, but we're just going with the averages here. All right, now to get occupancy by these cohorts, it took a little bit of maneuvering. And one of those maneuvers was to look at reviews and then size that up against, based on AirDNA, each of those reviews being a stay. So for instance, beachfront 100 reviews is 100 stays. And AirDNA calls it an average stay of 4 nights. I'm doing an average stay of 3 nights so that I can come up with what the estimated ROI would be. So to get occupancy based on these 3 cohorts, here's what I came up with. The average occupancy for a beachfront property with an average purchase price of $700,000 is about 75%. Near beach, when you take those 80 reviews as 3-day stays, is an occupancy rate of about 60%. And then inland or downtown gives you an occupancy rate of about 35%. There's a lot more to this. I'm going to share a little nuance in a minute, but just stick with me for a moment. Those occupancy rates, again, are based on reviews, but also if you look at Airbnb, they estimate about 30% of people staying don't actually leave a review. So I added that in as well, meaning I added about 30% more occupancy based on the reviews to account for those that actually don't review. Who doesn't leave a review? Huh? Leave a review for these hosts, man. Come on. I guess if they suck. Well, even then, you probably should. I don't know. All right, so when you look at all this data, the nightly rate, the reviews, the purchase price, the occupancy, and you determine based on that purchase price and the average occupancy and the nightly rate that I can get based on that, what's the best thing to do? Do I buy beachfront, toes in the sand? Do I buy near beach or do I buy inland? You go from 700 grand for beachfront to 260 to 200 for inland. At a certain point, you feel like, man, if I'm paying that much less, I got to get better return, right? Maybe. At these assumptions, beachfront property will generate you this return. It's going to be 4.1%. Is that the best? No. Which one do you think it is? Before I reveal it, let you comment for a second. Okay, I'll tell you. I want to thank today's video sponsor, Colchones Naco. Colchones Naco is a local mattress company manufactured here in Santiago, Dominican Republic, and they have stores in Santiago, Punta Cana, and Santo Domingo. And they always have deals, Black Friday or whatever. So check out their website, colchonesnaco.com, and see what the deals are. And whether you order off the website or go into the store, if you want to get a couple free pillows with your order, give them the code ElGringo24. Haha, it's me, and it's 2024. You get it? And they'll give you those 2 free pillows. So if you're buying that condo, buying that Airbnb, and looking for the best mattress place you can get, honestly, that's the one we use. That's why I took them on as a sponsor. I truly believe in them. That bed, right there in my bedroom, because it's been raining. Colchones Naco, right there, including the bed set, all of that. Amazing company, mission focused, and love what they do. So check out Colchones Naco, but let's get back to the video. The best is actually near beach, which makes a lot of sense. You go from a 75% occupancy to 60%. You go from $700,000 purchase price to $260,000, and the average nightly rate only drops by $50, $200 to $150. So the average ROI based on these assumptions is about 6.6%. But wait, there's more. If we go inland, where you get all the way down to $200,000, $100 per night average, but only a 35% occupancy, it's actually only 3.5%. What this data says is it's best to buy close to the beach, not on the beach, but if you had to go to a secondary option, triple your budget and buy beachfront before you go inland, if you're just looking at ROI. Now, what's not in these assumptions is appreciation value. So over the course of 5 or 10 years, beachfront property is going to go up at a higher percentage in value than the other 2, more than likely. So if you look at a total return, total appreciation value, beachfront probably starts to win out. Essentially, what all this data is telling us is pretty much illustrated in this graph. And that is that if you buy near the beach, you'll get the best return, and that return diminishes if you get on the beach or if you go inland. But if you go inland, it's going to diminish even further. Now, here's a little bit of nuance for you. When I went through and looked at different subsections and neighborhoods or whatever, it defied the stats I just gave you a little bit. And what I mean is something like Punta Cana Village, which is right by the airport, it's a bit of a higher end community, actually has more like a 50-60% occupancy rate when I kind of average it out and look at it. And it makes sense. It's near a beach. You get access to that beach when you stay in the village, and it is very secure. And most people that come down here that are staying off resort and read anything about this area, they understand that that's probably one of the premier spots. Also, Cap Cana beachfront, man, they get even better occupancy, it looks like, in many, many cases. But it really boils down to just quality. Let me show you what I mean. This is a listing in Punta Cana Village, and you can see a couple of things. First off, I forgot to change it to US dollars, so that 1.9 daily rate is pesos. Just ignore that for a moment. And it does only show that there's 18 days available, but just look at this listing. The The house looks like crap. There's some lady standing there in her shorts taking a photo. The bed has this like yellow ugly thing on it. I mean, look at this bathroom. It's got like a thing hanging in it. I don't even know what it is. It's blurry and gross. Why would anybody stay here? I wouldn't. This would affect me. I wouldn't stay in this place. So even in a Punta Cana village, which has a higher occupancy rate, the quality of what you put out there into the world is going to impact your occupancy overall and your ability to rent the property. Now, maybe they don't need to. They only list it for a few days a year, or at least that's what AirDNA says. But can you at least try? Just a little. Here's another example. This is a listing in Cap Cana, and I'll be honest with you, that's the only photo that they allow. So you click to see all photos, this is all you would get. And yeah, I get it, it's on a beach, but it's blurry. The photo doesn't look very crisp, and I don't really know what I'm getting here. It's showing a $444 average rate that feels high for a 2-bed, 2-bath, and it's at 48% occupancy. That's not terrible, but if we just look at this one, this photo is super crisp, super clean, and it's already more attractive to me. And this is the only photo they used as well. But look at that occupancy rate at 80%. Again, a small sample size of days available, sure, but what's to say if they opened this up more, they wouldn't have a similar occupancy? And you gotta ignore the 18.6. That's the Dominican rate. I forgot to toggle back and forth between USD and pesos, but you get the point. That's about $350 US if you do the math. But even though both of these are beachfront, one put a little bit more effort and at least they put a good photo up. The other one didn't do much with theirs. Just like, yeah, look, there's a beach, yay! Even though it's blurred out and you can't see it. And therefore it doesn't get the same occupancy. And to me, occupancy is king. I'd rather have people in there at a lower nightly rate than the highest nightly rate possible. And that doesn't mean I want to go to the floor because I don't want terrible clients, but you get my point. I want to find that sweet spot of rate to occupancy because that's going to be what unlocks. Get more reviews, you get rated more on Airbnb, you become a super host, all of that good stuff. The other thing that I think people should really get good at when you're in terms of renting out an Airbnb, if you're going to buy one down here, is make it stand out in some way, shape, or form. Now, this particular listing I'm about to show you does not attract me at all. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's got its niche. Let me show you. So this is a short-term rental listing. You can see it's gay-owned and LGBTQ friendly. It's a private room, just a room. That's why it's $41 per night at Corrales. And a room versus a whole place is just going to get a lower occupancy rate, but damn, they're getting half of their nights filled with this listing. Again, it tailors to a very specific audience, a gay or LGBTQ audience. I guess the gay is in there, so it's not or, it's all together. GGL, whatever. This is where I get canceled, but c'est la vie. But again, they're doing something niche. They're making this stand out specifically for an audience. And I think this is a smart way of doing it. Look, maybe you're a car enthusiast and you're going to have a car sort of themed place, or you're a comic enthusiast and people can come in and build community around Marvel or whatever X-Men thing people do. Sign a wall with their claw, like Wolverine. I don't know, whatever Comic-Con people do. Right now up in Meaches, there are airplane fuselages being rented out. I think that's fascinating. And it's an experience people might really enjoy. But this is just kind of what I look at. Like, how do you stand out in this market when there is a lot of people trying to buy an Airbnb? I've done a lot of content on the best way to do all of this. You can go back and watch that in my channel. But I thought it'd be helpful just to share kind of a breakdown, directionally accurate around where is the best place to invest my money. So just laying it out all together, my take. If you want to buy for decent cash flow, but more appreciation and experience, spend the money, get the beachfront property. If you're looking to maximize your ROI and get the best of both worlds, to me, it's what I'm doing. Buy near beach. You're going to spend a lot less, still have pretty good beach access, and get a better return on your money overall, especially if you manage it right. Good pictures, manage it professionally, so on. And third, if you're just looking for some place for yourself, and ROI isn't a concern, but it's something you can afford, maybe pay cash for, definitely look in the downtown, Vista Cana, and more of the inland areas, not right on or near the beach. But it's gonna be really hard to rent out an Airbnb inland property. There's a lot of them, and most people want a beach when they come here. So just keep that in mind as you think about your investments. That's what I got. Curious what all of you think on this, so drop it down below. Oh, and subscribe. I'm trying to get more, more. So that would be a good thing. And if you're trying to figure out how you do due diligence to make sure you're not going to be scammed down here, click this video. I go through step by step how you can ensure the developers you're working with are top notch and so on. I'll see you on the next video.